It will help you in meeting your responsibilities on time because you have the required amount of authority. So authority is required to get your work done, right? And it increases the efficiency of employees. So this is there. Now what will happen if this is not followed? Then what will happen? There will be delay in work. Okay. There can be misuse of authority. If there's an imbalance, then there can be misuse of authority. Then there can be one person can be overburdened with work. You have put all responsibilities on him, but there is no authority given to him. That means what? He has to do all the work. So there's a lot of burden on him. Okay. So these are what happens when you follow it and what happens when you don't follow it. So this portion I'm repeatedly telling you is important. Now coming to the next one, which is the third of the 14 principles, which is discipline. So what do you mean by discipline? It implies obedience. Okay, observation of rules and regulations. Now as a student, means you all are students, so do I need to tell you the meaning of discipline? I don't think so. But it's not only for students, it's for everyone. This discipline part is really required from teachers' point of view also, from students' point of view also, from employees' point of view, from employers' point of view, from all of us. If you're not leading a disciplined life, if there isn't an amount of discipline in your activities, then ultimately you don't get what you had planned to get, what you had planned to achieve. So discipline is very important. So this applies for the when we are talking about the 14th principle, this is one of the important principles. Here also the positive effects improves efficiency and systematic working in the organization. This is very important. If work is not being carried on in a disciplined manner, then we will find a lot of chaos, and there won't be anything happening in a systematic manner. So there will be a lot of chaos, lot of wastage, disorganized, not coordinated things will be happening, which is not required, not expected also. Consequences of violation, now we will see wastage of resources, delay in work, and disorder, confusion, and chaos. This I have already told you. Next, unity of command. Very important. Very, very important. What is meant by unity of command? Getting instructions and orders from one and only one superior. That is unity of command. And why are we following this? Because when you get multiple orders from multiple bosses, then you will get confused. You will be in an utter confusion. Then whom shall I follow? What shall I be doing? There can be ego clashes also. So unnecessarily things will become complicated. So what needs to be done is we need to follow unity of command. That is one head, one boss, and instruction coming from that head or that boss. So positive effects, subordinates will not be confused because there is one person who is giving you all orders and instructions, so you know what you're expected to do. Smooth functioning of the business, since there is no confusion and chaos, improves efficiency. Consequences, very important. Consequences of violation: confusion in the minds of the employees. Then subordinates will get a chance to escape from their responsibilities. I don't know, he said this, you said that, I didn't know what to do, so I did not do it. Things like that. This can also happen. Difficulty in managing discipline. These are all related. And order is disturbed and stability can also be threatened. So these are all consequences of the violation part. Next we have unity of direction. That means what? We should all head towards one particular plan or one particular objective or one particular goal, so that we all work towards something common. We might individually have different ideas, different plans, different objectives, different goals in our mind, but when we are talking from the point of view of the organization, everything should be channelized, okay, and there should be one thing which should be set in common, and that is where we should activate all our or direct all our activities. So the principle of unity of direction requires that there should one head and one plan for a group of activities. Same way, the positive and the consequences you have. I'm not going into details, okay? I'm just telling you the important portions. Next, we have subordination of individual interest to group interest or general interest. This is what, see, when we are a part of an organization, we are individuals, right? We join an organization for different motives. Somebody is joining somewhere because he wants a good exposure. Somebody is joining it because he wanted a good package. Somebody is joining because he or she did not like the previous job or the previous organization, or they might have different reasons for shifting from one job to another or for joining a particular job. That is the individual objectives that we have. So when we are working in an organization, obviously the group goals or the general interest are to be given more preference, or should be given preference over the individual interest or the individual personal interest that we have. Okay, so this thing we have to remember. Same way, again, go for the positive points and the consequences of violation of this particular point. Next, we have remuneration. In some books, you will not just find the word remuneration, you will find it as fair remuneration, which is a good point, because remuneration has to be fair and just. Okay, now do remember, fair remuneration does not mean very high remuneration. It means fair and justified. Justified or fair in what respect? In respect to your qualification, in respect to the job profile, in respect to there shouldn't be any gender biasness. So that is fair remuneration. Everyone having similar qualification, placed in similar roles, should be given the same amount of remuneration. There shouldn't be any difference in that. Okay, it shouldn't be too low as compared to the industry, as compared to the other firms which are there in competitive firms that we are having in the particular industry. So that is fair remuneration. Okay, adequate amount of remuneration, because this is a very motivating factor. No matter whatever we say, we might say money is not everything and things like that, which is not, I'm not saying it's not true, but then money is one of the biggest motivator. That also we have to remember. If people are coming, working in your organization, giving their 8 hours, 12 hours to your organization, then at the end of the day, they expect good remuneration from you, and you should give them that. Okay, so that positive and consequences of violation, once again go through it. Centralization, decentralization, giving more power, decision making power to the different levels and not giving that power, keeping it with you at one level only. So centralization means concentration of decision making authority at the top level. On the other hand, decentralization means dispersal of authority at all levels of management. Question can be which is good, which is bad, or is this right, is that wrong? No, it's nothing like that. It depends on the situation, it depends on the organization. And in today's world, in most cases, we will find that just like authority and responsibility, there has to be a parity. In today's world, centralization and decentralization also, there has to be a parity. Because in some cases, you cannot keep your organization to be totally centralized, then it will have its own loopholes. Same way, if you are going for an absolutely decentralized version of your organization, that too might come as a boomerang to you. So when we are going for either a centralized organization or a decentralized organization, it's not something that can be done just today we take a decision and we say, okay, ours is a centralized thing or decentralized thing. No, none of the principles can be taken or developed in a day. There are reasons, there are observations, there are experimentations happening. So even if you have to decide on these, there are reasons why you are selecting a particular thing, because both will have its own advantages and disadvantages which needs to be weighed. Okay. So centralization, decentralization is also important. Unity of command, centralization, decentralization, authority, responsibility, these are quite important points. Another very important point is scalar chain or scalar chain as you call it. So that's what a particular, the diagram, whenever this question is coming, always try to give the diagram for that triangular shaped diagram. Always put it, whether in the question they are asking for it or not. just don't bother. If you get a question based on the Scalar chain, just give the diagram. Okay, so it consists of superior and subordinates. So it's the formal line of authority from the highest to the lowest. It's known as Scalar chain. Why is it done? So that there is no missing link, there is no miscommunication. So that communication passes through all the levels and everyone is informed about it. So that is basically the reason for doing this. There is no communication gap. That's the main objective. Okay, and unity of command and direction also exists when you have this. What will happen if this is not followed? Authority and responsibility thing might not be clear. Okay, information might not flow in orderly manner. There might be miscommunication leading to chaos. Another very important point, under that Scalar chain only, there's something called gang plan. I'm sure you know about it. So go for that gang plan explanation also. Okay, this particular portion can come to you in different forms. Just excuse me. What is Scalar chain? That one. Why should we follow that? What are the consequences of violation? Then is there any situation where we can break it? So we are talking about the gang plan now. Why do we go for a gang plan? Okay, so these different types of questions can come from this particular point. So obviously the Scalar chain part is important. Okay, next we have order. This also, actually all the 14 principles are important, but some are even more important. Order also, right place for the right thing and right person. So that's order. Okay. The principle is concerned with systematic arrangement of organizational resources, fixed place for material and other physical resources in the organization, and the right person is to be placed at the right position. So this all relates to order. Okay. Next is equity. Equity means treating people equally, not differentiating between two people, two employees on the basis of caste or creed or gender or any other kind of biasness that you might have. We are human beings, and this is one negative aspect of ours, is that we are biased. Okay, we always have preferences in most of the cases, and we are ruled by our biasness, and due to which what happens, we lose our quality of being just and fair, which is not right. So in an organization, if you want to have, or if you want to see the success of your organization, you should go for equity, the principle of equity. The principle of equity implies treatment with all employees in similar treatment. Okay, similar treatment with all employees in similar job position. You will not differentiate between two different individuals who are there in the same position, same job, just because you like someone and you don't like somebody else. Okay, so that is not what is expected from an organization which wants to go ahead and wants to stay in the market for a long period of time. So this was equity, was point 11. Next we have stability of tenure, which means that once you take a person in your job, you give him some kind of security, because this is also another very motivating factor, or rather demotivating factor if you cannot provide that stability. When we join a particular organization, there are primarily 2-3 things that a person expects. That is a proper remuneration, and to become a permanent part of the organization. If there are regular turnover, if the employee turnover rate is very high, employee turnover rate, I'm sure you know, people leaving the organization or the organization forcing people to leave it. So if that rate is very high, then that will spread a very negative vibe about the organization. That it's no point working there, because they will not keep you, irrespective of how much good you're with your work. They will finally ask you to leave. So stability of tenure, it gives mental satisfaction, psychological satisfaction to employees. Employees will not give their 100% until and unless they get that guarantee. You remember Maslow's theory? the need theory. So there also that safety and security kind of thing. So this is related to the stability of tenure thing. Okay, so you have to ensure the stability of tenure to your employees if you really want to get 100% efficiency from them. Next we have initiative. Initiative means taking the first step and self-motivation. So what Fayol suggests that you should encourage your employees to take that initiative. When we stay away from giving our views and advice or our suggestion, when we feel that people will not appreciate it, or people will maybe make fun of it, or maybe people will say, how dare you, I didn't even ask for your advice, who the hell are you, something like this. Okay, so what we have to do when we are part of the, or when we are talking from the point of view of the organization, is we have to encourage our employees to take that initiative. We have to give them that space, we have to give them that environment that they feel like putting forward their views, their suggestions. Okay, we might not take all their suggestions, it's okay, that's perfectly all right, because you will have your own way of working, but give them a chance to say what they want to say. And yes, if you find something really interesting, why not incorporate that. Okay, next we have esprit de corps, which is spirit of cooperation. Okay, so unity is strength, spirit of cooperation, and unity is strength. So as long as you are united, you are powerful. If you're not, you are not powerful anymore. Okay, so unity is strength. So he emphasizes on teamwork. Management is a group activity. When we are talking about management, you're trying to get things done through other people. So if these people are not united, or they are always fighting, and the one wants to overshadow or overpower the other one, then what happens? Ultimately your work will suffer, right? So there should be team spirit among the employees working, and you have to give them that environment so that that team spirit develops. Okay, so it is the responsibility of the management to induce a feeling of belongingness among the employees. That will not come in a day. You have to give them that space, you have to give them the reason why they will feel like a team. So there the manager is the leader, so it's the responsibility of the leader. Actually, if you're under a good leader, there are so many good things happening in the group. If the leader is not having these qualities, or if the leader is not following these principles, then we can expect some trouble. Okay, so these are more or less the 14 principles of management. Then we will talk about the scientific one. We will also talk about the scientific techniques and all, which I'm not doing in this video because this already is a long one. So maybe I'll cut this into 2 different videos, and we'll continue with this chapter because this chapter remains one of the most important chapters. All the best for your exam. I'll keep on doing more videos on the rest of the chapters also. All the best.